Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's been a minute. um, Obviously, I have a lot to cover behind me here, so I will get through, I guess, personal updates first, let you guys know what I've been up to this year. It's been quite a few months since I've actually talked to you guys, so just been busy. I did a lot of traveling this year, all going back to Chicago, where I'm from. I had 2 trips out in the suburbs where I grew up, and then I had 2 trips in the city. I had to go to a funeral, had to go to a wedding, went to a concert with my husband, and then the last trip that we did, or I should say that I did with him, is my husband ran the Chicago Marathon, and that was pretty cool. Really, really proud of him. Um, so yeah, that's essentially the crux of what's been going on. I've been either at work or I've been out on the road back home in Chicago with my husband. So the traveling is all done for me this year, and I had some time here to finally sit down and talk to you guys. So that's all the personal stuff, and let's jump into this shit. So obviously there's 2 cameras sitting here. This one you guys are well aware of, but there's been some changes to it. That one over there, I got about two months ago. That is the original red one. That is not the Mysterium X. I've owned the Mysterium X camera twice. That is the very first red that ever existed in terms of like the model. It's not like the actual first one, but like, you know what I mean. It's got the red 18 to 50 PL lens on there. Obviously it shoots up to 4.5K. Its base sensitivity is 320, so it's not that fast. The dynamic range is very limited, especially by today's standards, but yeah, it's here. So there's the red one. And then obviously the Alexa looks a little bit different. So let me explain that. I have, since I talked to you last, obviously I still have the Gemini sitting here. I'm in the process of actually selling the Gemini because I bought the codec system, the original codec system that was for this Alexa. For those of you that are unaware of the codec system, it is a little recorder. This guy right here, this block, it is mounted on top of the camera, and it is connected on the back here via SDI, and then I have a power cable that just connects to one of the power connectors on the side of the camera here. And what this guy is essentially allowing me to do is complete and total ARRI RAW. So there were some limitations to doing the RAW through the Gemini, in that you needed a certain piece of software in order to do slow motion, which doesn't exist anymore. And in order to do slow motion on the Gemini, it recorded on both SSDs up here at the same time. It was very convoluted. The codec system is the best system to do ARRI RAW. You know, all of the Alexa cameras that can shoot internal ARRI RAW use codecs drives, the codec system. So like codecs and ARRI are very much married to each other. They always have been. So this thing allows me to shoot 60p at 2K or 2.8K in the full raster ARRI RAW codec, which is pretty cool. And it records, I'll show you here, these are the drives that it records on. So these are little rated drives. This one's a 500 something gig, I think. Let me see if no, it doesn't tell me. But yeah, it just essentially, you just place it in the dock there, and then when you hit the locking mechanism here, it locks and solders into place, and there you go. The remote's pretty cool. It's just sitting by a magnet, so I can put it on either side of this device, which is pretty neat. And then the way you offload this is you would take that drive out, and then there's a reader that looks almost identical in shape to the recorder, and that's connected to my computer. Now, the caveat to this is I'm not going to be able to edit anything that I shoot on this thing for a little bit, because the reader for these drives uses a SATA connection. And no modern computer uses SATA anymore, at least not Mac, unless you have like a Mac Pro and you can use, like, you can switch out the PCIe cards or whatever, which I don't have that. So I have to get something that is a converter box that converts the SATA signal to a Thunderbolt signal, and then the drives will mount to my computer and I can edit them in real time, which is pretty cool. So still have to get a couple pieces in order to make the codec system work all the way through, but this is ready to shoot. Like, I could go out and film stuff, I just can't edit the stuff for a while. But yeah, I'm kind of like having a moment where, you know, you reach a technological point in your life as an artist, as a filmmaker, and if my 18-year-old self saw this, he would be losing his mind. Granted, I think when the Alexa came out, I was 20. So let's just say my 20-year-old, 21-year-old self would be losing his mind right now. I never in a million years thought that I would own an Alexa, let alone an Alexa paired with a Codex recorder. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, and then obviously the kind of viewfinder extensions here, I think I already mentioned that. It's missing the one kind of screw piece to like tighten this in so it's wiggling a little bit. I have to find that. It didn't come with it. And then eventually I'm just going to replace this monitor with a really inexpensive, like, used TV Logic monitor, where I can monitor the signal coming out of the Alexa and, you know, kind of cross-reference and make sure that the codex is actually receiving a signal and all that fun stuff. So that's essentially what's going on with my gear. You know, I'll be back to filming a lot of stuff here relatively soon when I have the time, and also when I have the remaining pieces, at least here. But I am looking at sometime soon going out and just shooting some stuff for fun with the Red. But yeah, that's essentially, I guess, in a nutshell, what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I have a potential buyer for the Gemini. Nothing has really solidified itself yet. So if any of you out there that have, like, you know, this thing, you don't necessarily need an ARRI camera to benefit this thing, because this shoots both uncompressed DPX files and it shoots ARRI RAW, has the ARRI RAW license in it. Sony f900, Panasonic Tape VariCam, like anything that can spit out a 10 or 12-bit SDI signal, you can record that uncompressed. So you get a lot more information from your camera, and I'm selling it relatively cheap. The whole kit comes with like a Pelican case, the reader for the SSDs, a bunch of SSDs, and I believe there's an SDI cable in there that I'll include and stuff like that. So if any of you are interested, let me know. But yeah, I'm really excited to eventually start working with that. The one piece to the codex that was missing in my kit was the handle. So usually this codex device came with a handle that would sit on this side of it, and it would wrap kind of over, so you had a point of contact on the top. So that's a little awkward to not have that. But yeah, that was like the one piece that was missing from the kit. But it's really crazy how, like, all of this stuff is so, I mean, by comparison to what it was brand new, it's so inexpensive, and a lot more people can get their hands on this stuff. And I've always advocated that. Well, I've always believed that a camera is just a tool. I will always say that. I also champion people that just go out and shoot with what they want, and like, don't let, you know, I've said this in vlogs in the past, like, don't let anybody make you feel a certain way because you want to shoot on an Alexa or a DVX100 or a Red or a VariCam or some other ENG kind of cinema camera from back then. Like, just go out and, you know, if you have the ability to get a hold of these things, just go experiment, learn, like, let the cameras teach you something. That's how I've learned. You know, I joke and say that I've spent, you know, 26, 27 years doing this. 2 of those years I was in film school, and I only maybe learned 5% from my time in film school. The majority of my knowledge, technically and artistically, came from just going out and doing. I think self-teaching is the best way to learn any art form, is just to get your hands on as much equipment or whatever that you can, and just go out and experiment and push buttons and learn how to expose and figure out, like, you know, what works for you, I guess. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So I just wanted to jump on here real quick, say hello. I'm doing good. Rabbits are doing good. Nick's doing good. Everything's good. We're almost into the holiday season, which is my favorite time of year. So I hope all of you guys have a happy and safe Halloween tomorrow. And I'll probably talk to you sometime next month. So, all right, take care.